I'm going to let it get there. How many of you are trying to hit that note in your car right now? Certainly not the office. Definitely not in the shop. Some of you, though, you put the effort in. I can see Eric wanting, fighting the urge to not really give it all she's got for Aha Take On Me. We're going to play some 87 and 89 hits, late 80s. That's when America's Funniest Home Videos and Full House really hit its stride. Bob Saget, of course, passing unexpectedly yesterday, 65. So we'll do some of that. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. I'm Tyler Axedis. This is After He's Live. Eric Johnson's our producer. Will be with you to the 5 o'clock punch out. Few guests lined up a little bit later on here, but we made it. We got back. I hope you did as well, safely and in a timely manner. I know that not only the flight situation for those going and returning to and from Frisco had some delays, had some backups. I've also heard that there was some of those buses also having some issues. I know driving down was not ideal for a lot of people. Driving back was great yesterday. I hope you experienced the same thing if you're able to get on the road. I've got questions, though. For one, I want to thank the Wild Pitch. I want to thank all of our sponsors for Friday's show. We made it through as best we could, given the technology and everything else that was going on. But I remember distinctly a group of friends over at the Wild Pitch saying, hey, E.T.'s friends need a ride home. E.T., I hope your friends got home safely from the Wild Pitch. Full play. It was a full house, and a lot of people were having a lot of fun. There were people there before I started, certainly long after I was gone. But either way, it was good to be back. It was different, though, this time. If you were down there, I want to hear your experience. 35270. That's the Ad Consultants of North Dakota Text Club. You can also call into the Laney studio line at 237-594. And I touched briefly on this, but because this was the 9th trip for some people, it was my 7th. But it became that trip to where you go down and you kind of get eager to go to the same spots. I know of people that were up tailgating that go to the same spot every year they've been to Frisco, and so much so that the same waitress has been there and know them by first name. That is customer service, if you ask me. But not all those places were there this time. So you have the change in some of the business model. Now, I'm not saying that Frisco is depleting, because I think it's one of the fastest growing spots in the entire country with all the big businesses that have moved their headquarters down there. I remember Toyota being one of them that was rattled off just a couple of years ago when I was down there. But the experience, I thought the environment, the atmosphere around the game itself was electric. And that was one in part because maybe it was a couple years since NDSU had been there. But imagine it being, since 1984 for Montana State, and just visiting with their fans. And which in that stadium, I don't know what was picked up on TV, or if you were listening to the game from on 740 The Fan, or sister station. But it seemed as though the most evenly split crowd that I remember, perhaps close to, you have James Madison, certainly close to that moment, but it seemed as though well-represented Montana State, they're friendly. The game certainly got away, I think, earlier than a lot of people expected, myself included. And I've got messages coming in with reasoning behind that. I'd love to get your take on the game itself as well, in which you expected a closer battle. It did not go down that way, but, still hats off to Brent Vegan and the crew getting that program turned around in year one to even get to the title game. But I don't think there's any question, and this comes back to that conversation we've had over and over again. It certainly seemed as though at times it was, boys amongst men out there, in which NDSU certainly the bigger factor, the bigger line, the bigger push, all of that, playing this factor to where I want to address this message. Tyler, what don't people get? Montana's quarterback, who was their main contributor bringing them to the final game, was knocked out in the first series. Significant blow to Montana. It was a significant blow, but if you look at the way that the NDSU offense just handled entirely handled Montana's defense, which going into that game on Saturday was playing quite well also. In fact, I think it's their linebacker that was named all-conference. He received recognition during that game for his ability to play this year while on defense for Montana State. So even if Tommy touchdown Tommy, whatever, Tommy Malone was able to play, and I really wish he could have. You want the best in your opponent out there. So I did feel bad for him, that team, and quite frankly, that fan base. It would have been a factor. I think, if you have a Tommy out there, yeah, there's that X factor. In fact, that's what we were talking about at length during Friday's show, sponsored down in Frisco there. It doesn't overcome the significant deficit that they were in, because that defense just simply could not stop our offense. And I mean, nobody wanted to get in between Hunter Lipke and the goal line, did they? And if they did, they were getting bruised by it. In fact, I don't even want to say the goal line. I'll say the end of the end zone, because there was a time where, boy, there was wide open field. Had he just kind of waltzed in and maybe went to the left. Instead, he saw that safety, said, "You are in my way. It doesn't matter that you're already in the end zone. I'm coming for you."
You could see that from in-state, because I said the exact same thing on that touchdown. Like, there's about an acre and a half to his left wide open, and it is shoulder down. And he trucked his own lineman also.
Yeah. That's football, boy. That's why you go out there and it made a point.
Yep.
It's a physical game, and that's what we're harping on going into it, that it's going to be a physical matchup. And that's what the way that I think this organization with NDSU, there's a reason that you have 9 national titles now in this FCS era, because you go out there, you are the more dominantly physical team, both in height, weight, and the wanting to actually make contact.
Were the field conditions as bad as they looked on TV?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is, I do not understand how in Toyota Stadium, well, it hasn't always been Toyota Stadium, but it's always been in the same stadium down in Frisco that is a soccer field. But how they cannot seemingly figure out how to keep that field in tip-top shape for this title game. I mean, there has been it's not year after year, but it has been way more frequent than not that they have had issues with that field just being ripped up. I remember, and I don't remember which title game it was, but during the TV timeouts, you have people out there grabbing sod, throwing down. You have people, trying to get the field back in playable condition. It was sloppy out there.
Yeah, and it didn't have anything to do with the Montana quarterback injury, in my opinion.
And that's what I was going to ask, because you couldn't see. I knew it was an ankle. If it was the field condition, that's a whole storyline that we should go down.
Yeah, no, on the replay, it just looked like a tackle where his foot got caught underneath and landed on. We see it happen
just an aspect
all
of the game
time
at that point.
But it did look like early it was affecting Christian Watson a lot when he was trying to make a hard cut and his feet just slipped out from underneath him a couple times.
He proved again why him being a part of that team, and the fact that you have his height, you have his speed. There was a very important first down reception in that first opening drive for us. Crucial. Glad to have him back. I know he's going to be, was it the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Senior Bowl? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know who sponsors that one. But
somebody knows, 35270. Getting the invite there, and that's a big opportunity for him to go on and get that NFL prospect.
His size, speed, and hands, he's going to be a third, fourth-ish rounder with that speed, and those accomplishments. I mean, I don't know anything about anything.
Well, I think in the NFL, a lot of people learned today that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, he's certainly going to get a look on Sundays. Yep. I think Volson is going to get a look on Sundays.
Which I heard on the broadcast of Olsen's like the college athlete that has the most games ever played, not just FCS. Period.
Yep.
So congratulations. Just congratulations to this organization. That team, coming in, it felt good to be back.
Yeah.
And I could about imagine for that organization that certainly felt really good to hoist that trophy again after a couple years. Messages 35270. That's the Eye Consultants of North Dakota. I'm coming back to you right after this.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know. To me, it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.
Apparently my commentary driving a few people just a little crazy on a Monday afternoon as well. This one, I'll start with this one. Come on, Derek. If you know so much about sports, you should know that a couple bowl games got played at Toyota Stadium this year. Thus, the turf got a little bit more beat up. Also, you must have been living under a rock while there. The atmosphere was the same as always. Well, one thing, if you know anything about this program, I'm Tyler, not Derek. But also, the atmosphere being a little bit more electric this year, I am not going to back down from that one bit. That Montana fan base was excited. ASU's fan base, always excited. It was a great environment. But also, that explained to me, if you know so much about how turf in that field that was grass down there was working, why it varied so much year after year. This is not the worst it's been in. It's been in worse situations. So I'm not going to say, well, it's because they played a couple of bowl games there this year. Because there has been times where it has been worse. There's been times where it's been better. If you're going to host a national title game, they've got to have something figured out, and they've had a long time to do it. Now, as far as the area itself, I'm not complaining. People are saying, Tyler, NDSU fans obviously love Frisco. There's Fargo South. I'm not trying to say all of Frisco. I'm just saying the field in particular is what they, for just even player safety. We talk about, Tommy Mott getting an injury. It wasn't field related, but when you have some of those conditions, you start to want to follow along and make sure those non-contact injuries can be avoided by having a little bit field that's in better shape, quite frankly. 35270, more messages coming in. Tyler, ironically, they were bragging about how the field was in the best shape it had ever been. Agreed, if they can't figure out how to plan a little rain, there is a problem. As a soccer family, I get it how they keep the real grass. See, and that's the other thing. The fact that this is primarily a soccer field. Now, I'm not going to pretend to claim that I'm some expertise in different types of grasses. We'll save that for Dave the Cock, on Plant Talk. But if there is a reason why, or if there is even a difference between the makeup and keep up of a soccer field versus, say, a football field, and why, if there is any reason why it seems to get more easily torn up during football. Tyler, as resident of Fargo with no dog in the fight, here comes more talk about the Bison trying to move up. Yep, it already is because, you look at what they're able to accomplish this year, and if you want to look towards next year, It's a very real possibility that they're heading back. I mean, now you can't put anything in stone or in writing, but there's a lot of people coming back. There's no doubt about that, Tyler. But I am a little surprised at all the Boys and fans. I think it's supposed to be Bison fans complaining about the field. Obviously, that should be the focus of a championship, but it would surprise me that Bison people that have made Frisco Fargo South really want to change the venue. I don't think they want to change the venue at all. Just want the venue to actually have a field that keeps up. Tyler, is it possible? Oh, no, okay. Yeah, sure, we can play whatever. That's a song request. That's coming in. We can do whatever. It's Monday. We can treat it like a Friday. I don't care. It's glad to be back in studio with you here this afternoon. More messages coming in. I'll get to those. But I want to give you a rundown of what you can expect because I want to get your gears turning on this. It happened, and it was provided by journalism. And I'm going to give credit where it is due because it's Adam Kurtz. And this was, of course, brought up in the Grand Forks Herald last week when I think I was probably on the trek down south, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it really on Friday. But North Dakota looking to return $150 million in federal rental assistance money while applications pile up. Now, there are so many things that we've got to figure out here. One being, okay, if a deadline isn't until September, why are you quitting on it in January? Two, if applications are piling up, then certainly the need is there. Three, if it's about a private contract or a private vendor, why do they still have this? And four, where is the actual executive branch in all of this? To just, we're going to walk away. And if it has to do with federal requirements that says we don't meet this or A, B, or C, then where was the education done on this? Where was the attempt to make sure that we'll try our damnedest to see that you are qualified so that we can utilize this money? Because here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen, just sending it back to Washington doesn't do any good. It's just going to go and get utilized somewhere else when you know that there is a need right here in this state. And we're going to talk about that with somebody that's been involved with these type of programs and the executive director of Community Action Partnership in North Dakota. Andrea Olson is going to join us after the KFGO news because of this situation. And to have this attitude in a population that needs an assistance, or if you're a landlord, I would be screaming, saying, what in the hell's going on here? When it's a lot more expensive to say evict people, or if you're just trying to get that back pay. I mean, nobody wins in this situation as we read it right now. So we want some answers and hopefully get those in just a little bit. Tyler, how long was the beer cup tube? That was in a section a couple overs from us. I assure you we did not contribute to that beer snake tube, but we were able to see it, and it grew, let's just say, rapidly down in Frisco. It's Monday afternoon. KFGO time is 2:28. I'm Tyler Axis. You got locked into Afternoons Live on KFGO. Stick around.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know. To me, it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years. And I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. It's the outdoors it's awesome.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be
Still
used.
Three Below, I'm Paul Juergens. The Sheriff's Office in Becker County is asking for help in locating an 82-year-old rural Ogama, Minnesota man. James Malari was last seen in the Park Rapids area late yesterday. He's 5'5" and weighs 250 pounds. At the time, he was wearing a red flannel long-sleeve shirt, a gray T-shirt, and black pants. He was driving a red 2009 Subaru Outback with Minnesota plates DWM 637, DWM 637. A federal judge says defense attorneys cannot use mental disability as a factor in the second death penalty debate for Alfonso Rodriguez, convicted in the 2003 kidnapping and killing of University of North Dakota student Drew Shadeen. Judge Ralph Erickson ordered a new sentencing phase for Rodriguez last year after ruling that misleading testimony from the coroner and other factors had violated Rodriguez's constitutional rights. Defense attorneys then asked Erickson to consider intellectual disability as a defense. The judge says it cannot be used to consider Rodriguez's eligibility for capital punishment. Rodriguez, a convicted sex offender, has been on death row at a federal prison in Indiana for nearly 2 decades. North Dakota's court system has received nearly $1 million in a grant from the Federal Justice Department for a 3-year project to reduce delays in criminal case processing. It's the only state to be selected. The project includes 4 of the judicial districts. State Court Administrator Sally Holewa says the study will try to identify why cases are not resolved in a timely fashion and the effect that has on people.
And we're particularly looking at geography and the lack of services available in rural areas, but also looking at particular characteristics of defendants, such as, racial minority or mental health issues being present.
The National Center for State Courts will be the primary consultant and research arm for the project. 3 Below, this is KFGO News. Three Below Zero, this is KFGO News. A detached garage and several vehicles destroyed in a fire near Wahpeton. Fire departments from DeWitt and Morton were called out around 12:30 yesterday afternoon to 174th Avenue Southeast. That structure was fully involved when crews arrived. The State Fire Marshal's office is investigating the cause. Senator Tina Smith is promoting a new law on emergency medical bills. She says it should help people from breaking their pocketbook.
It says that no one who goes to an emergency room should find themselves weeks later saddled with a surprise medical bill. It could be hundreds or thousands or in some cases tens of thousands of dollars that you didn't expect and you can't afford.
The No Surprises Act went into effect at the start of the year and bans patients from being held responsible for most unexpected ER charges from doctors and hospitals outside of their insurance networks that they didn't choose. KFGO Weather Center forecast. We're looking for a high of about 0 this afternoon, partly to mostly cloudy. Clear to partly cloudy overnight, and then temperatures rising with a south-southeast wind a bit strong. Tomorrow, partly sunny, still breezy, west wind and then south wind and then west at 13 to 28, 30. Cloudy Wednesday, 26 with a chance of light snow, maybe mixed precipitation in the afternoon. About 28 Thursday, mostly cloudy. Friday, windy. There will be a chance of light snow, high of about 27. 3 Below, mostly cloudy. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
Rusty Halverson. Feels like it's been a lifetime, man.
Yeah, welcome back.
How you been?
Good. Yep.
Very good.
Yeah, keeping the home fires burning while you were on the road getting her done.
We were paying attention to temperatures and the difference between what we were soaking in and what you were suffering through.
Yeah, there's a small difference.
There was. Now, here's the thing. The game day, and during the game, it was cloudy and kind of misting, and I blame my friend for that because the one that got the seats said, hey, we're on the side of the field where the sun's going to be shining all day, so we're probably going to get a little bit of a sunburn. He said that on the drive down, in which we had the blizzard conditions. So all in all, I blame him for it being an overcast day. But
yeah, there's some sprinkles in that area.
It was still decent. I mean, the last time, like, it was 2 years before where it was like blizzarding, for the first half, and then it turned out to be like 60 and sunny the next. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad, but not near as cold as what you guys had, and I didn't miss it, to be honest with you. But I'm home. Good to be home.
Welcome back.
Yeah, good to be home. Aside from all of that, but what have I missed agriculture related?
Well, over the weekend, the American Farm Bureau, they kicked off their annual convention. That's underway in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to go through tomorrow. Tomorrow, delegates going to be setting their priorities, their policy book for the year ahead, but a lot of different things going on over the weekend. And President Biden, he had a recorded message for the members earlier today. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack there in person. We can talk about that more this afternoon, too. But the president highlighted some of the administration's steps to support agriculture over the past year. He told farmers and ranchers they are the backbone of this nation.
As the saying goes, you may need a doctor or an electrician once in a while, but you need a farmer 3 times a day. That's why in July I signed an executive order to promote competition and help level the playing field for family farmers and ranchers. You deserve A, affordable seed and other inputs. B, markets that allow you to get a fair price for your livestock and other products. C, agricultural export service, timely service to get your goods to markets around the world. D, the right to repair the equipment you own, either yourself or at an independent shop.
Now, again, members setting policy for the year ahead tomorrow. Now, the policy on cattle markets, that's expected to be one of the major debates within the group, Tyler. Different regions of the country have differing views on issues such as mandated levels of cash trade. So being such a large organization, it's going to be interesting to see what they see as the way forward on that topic.
Did I just hear the president say, there's a lot of sayings in agriculture?
There's one of those sayings in agriculture.
There's a lot of sayings in agriculture.
Yeah, a lot of sayings in agriculture.
Okay, so I heard, this all makes sense. Affordable inputs, including seed. You need markets. You need the service available, the ability to repair. I hope later on he went on to explain what the administration is doing to address some of those.
Well, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack actually talked more about that, especially one of the topics, several different topics that the Ag Secretary talked about. But a big part of his visit today with the Farm Bureau had to do with what we're now calling climate smart agriculture. It goes along the same topic we've been talking about, whether it be cover crops, whether it be carbon sequestration in the soil, those types of topics. That was a big chunk of the Secretary's visit with the members earlier today. And USDA came out with an announcement, a new program, and we can talk about that next hour.
Boy, that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah,
glad
quite a
you
bit.
set it up on that tee.
Yep.
Headed out of the park. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Rusty. Good to see you again, man.
You bet. You too. I'll be back.
We'll be back next hour. If you can't wait that whole hour, KFGO.com. Just click on that agriculture tab. You can find his work, Sarah Heinrich, as well. Let's get you caught up, CBS National News. I'm already getting messages in response to kind of just summarize what in the world is North Dakota doing, turning $150 million in rental assistance money back to the feds. I want to learn more. We're going to do that next right here on KFGO.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know. To me, it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years. And I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. Just good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just think of as we go.
Last week, this word comes out that North Dakota is set to return nearly $150 million in federal rental assistance money while applications pile up. I do want to acknowledge Adam Kurtz of Grand Forks Herald for bringing us this story. Quite honestly, to be blunt, frustrated a lot of us and left us wondering a lot of questions and hopefully trying to get some answers. Well, instead of visiting with those that are, going to spin this politically, I just want to figure out the ins and outs of how this works. Where maybe the ball drop, and hopefully the executive director of the Community Action Partnership of North Dakota, Andrea Olson, who's going to be joining us right now, I can provide some insight. Andrea, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Tyler. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for coming back on. It's been too long. I appreciate you taking some time on a Monday to enlighten me. What's going on when we see that $150 million approximately that North Dakota residents with some rental assistance could have utilized? Now we're seeing that get boarded up, sent back out to Washington. What's going on here?
Sure. Well, I will say I think that it's a very complicated issue that doesn't necessarily have a simple solution. We're talking about, federal funds coming to North Dakota during an unprecedented time. The amount of money that came to North Dakota was unprecedented. We have never seen this kind of money available for rental and utility assistance ever before. But I also, because like you, I read about it in the paper and have been just trying to figure things out. And the community action agencies across North Dakota, we are North Dakota's poverty fighting network. That is what we do. So we have been involved. We are contracted with the state to help people apply for the North Dakota Rent Help program. So we have a network of application counselors within the community action agencies. And then there are also, I believe it's 15 other agencies that have these application counselors. So we've been really, we're the ones booted, suited on the ground doing the work, the direct work with the clients, trying to get folks applied and enrolled successfully into the program. When I was told and read in the paper that the money was going to be going back to North Dakota, I guess I wasn't totally surprised, Tyler, because I think the amount of funding that came to us was such a high dollar amount that do we think it was even realistic that North Dakota would ever be able to spend that amount of money? That I don't know the answer to, but I just feel very strongly that this is an incredibly complicated problem without a simple solution.
And that what brings me to deadlines. Like many things, it's not just black and white, and I acknowledge that. But when we have until September, the way I understand, to maybe clear up some of this confusion, and instead in January we're saying, yeah, we're going to turn it back, I cannot understand the reasoning behind that, especially when organizations like yours and others are so well suited to be on the ground, and even having the assistance of, say, the radio station or the papers in which we read this, to get word out that, hey, you might be eligible, and here's how you could go forward, to just what seems to be, we're going to throw our hands up and just write a check back, doesn't sit well with me.
And I like that you mentioned, the outreach, trying to let folks know about the program, because I think that has by far been one of our largest challenges. I think we do need to give grace and consideration for what it takes to start a program of this level of funding across 53 counties. That's a lot. I mean, that's just a lot for any entity to take on. Simultaneously, we are fighting labor shortage issues. It's hard for all of these agencies to be fully staffed. But regarding that outreach, that is so important, because what we have found statistically within our Community Action Network is that any time we are promoting a program, that folks need to hear about it 5 to 7 times before they'll even consider calling us. And what you need to remember is that we were really late getting these funds deployed because they had to go through the entire legislative process. So that also put us behind.
I think that's a great addition to this conversation. I'm not going to get you into the muddy waters of how we govern in the state, because I've certainly got opinions having been there, and I'll save that for a little bit later on, because that does delay this whole process. I'm curious, Andrea, because your organization, the Boots on the Ground, what I've been gathering, at least from the lawmakers that I still visit with regularly, that they were completely blindsided that this was a program that wasn't getting utilized. They were saying, look, if we would have known, we could help get word out. Did organizations, did you get provided information, or others saying, look, we've got this here, but if we don't spend it by X amount of time, it goes? I'm just curious, because I'm trying to figure out, maybe where the assistance, maybe because we've now shined a light on this in media, that maybe this decision can get pulled back and we can figure it out between now and September. I'm just curious, did you have much of a heads up, or was it, look, I learned about it just like everyone else by reading it?
I learned about it just like everybody else by reading it.
Now that says a lot about where the shortfall in this was as well, because you're experienced in it. As you said, you're the front line and trying to address these issues, and to not even know, then how are we supposed to get people that might benefit from this the relief that they need? I'm curious, because the pushback, and Andrea Olson is our guest. She is the executive director of Community Action Partnership of North Dakota. What people are trying to push back, saying that there's too many restrictions in these programs, because there's a federal program, there's too much to meet eligibility. And I'm just curious, do you have any insight on that? Were the barriers too high for many people in the state?
Sure, that's a very good question, Tyler, about the barriers. And I don't think there is a perfect answer to that question. But I will say that I think the state has been a very amenable partner. I think they're doing all that they can. I know that labor shortages have affected them, the same way that they're affecting all of us. But I think there's a couple of things I would just want to say to you. I read the same article that you did, and what those numbers don't include is the amount of rental assistance that communities like community action, or like agencies like community action agencies, housing authorities, the amount of rental assistance funding that we provided while we were waiting for the state to be able to have these rental assistance funds. So while, yes, we know that $15 million has been given to landlords out of this program, there's more money that has gone to landlords from our Community Action Network, from housing authorities and other entities that provide that kind of work. So we know that the need has always been there. It's just, how do we move forward? And like I said, like you, I read the article and that's how I learned about this. And I thought, well, I guess where I'm going to land with this is that while the program isn't perfect, I don't think it should be abandoned. People across North Dakota need help. And I really want to see us do collectively and collaboratively all that we can do with what we have.
I'm just curious, before I let you go, Andrea, I mean, where do we sit as far as need goes? And I know this is probably a figure that's complicated as well, but I mean, are there enough people, well, I guess we pretty much already did answer this, but I'll throw it out there maybe this way, that that's a lot of money. $150 million can go a long ways if you have some leniency in what you could do with program-wise to spend it. But I mean, the need for rental assistance in North Dakota, does it still remain high? I mean, is there a great need out there for housing and affordable housing still?
Yeah, I will tell you, Tyler, that collectively our Community Action Network is still receiving about 100 phone calls a week from people seeking help with rental assistance. So we know that the need is there. Affordable housing is an ongoing issue across North Dakota. So affordable housing was an issue before COVID ever came into play. And now COVID has exacerbated it, made it even more challenging. So I think we just need to do, I know I've said this already, but I just feel like, okay, if some of the money has to go back, that money will be utilized by other states for people who are still in need. And we're still going to have money here in North Dakota that we can utilize.
Well, and you're not going to find me disagreeing with that at all. I mean, we can certainly, if we want leniency in what we can do with rental relief, we got a bank, and we've got a pocket of money that could certainly go to doing just that. Andrea, I'm out of time, but is there anything else that you want to get up before I let you go?
Anything you can do, Tyler, to help us spread the word that the program exists is appreciated. We want landlords to get paid, and we want folks to stay housed.
Very good. Andrea, I appreciate your time. We'll chat again soon, all right?
Thanks, Tyler. Have a great day.
Yeah, you
Bye-bye.
do the same. Andrea Olson, she is with the Community Action Partnership in North Dakota, the executive director. I got to get you this weather update. Your thoughts when we come back.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11. and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good.
Messages in at 35270. We'll continue the conversation because I've got some thoughts I got to get off my chest on this situation. And I understand where Andre Olson is saying, look, I just hope we could do better going forward. Yeah, you're right. But we got to this point because somebody dropped the ball. When you have got those boots on the ground, those individuals that they wake up every morning wanting to help their neighbor with affordable, rental, anything that's going to help reduce their rate of poverty, to help get them back to work, to help whatever it is. They want to just help. And they've been given the task to do so. And for them to find out because it was reported in the paper, instead of somebody from the capital of the great state of North Dakota and Bismarck picking up the phone and saying, look, we've got this pot of money. It was delayed getting to you because the legislature meets only every so often. We'll call a special session because we've got a lot of money to spend and we've already delayed X amount of months to do this. But they found out by it being reported in the news instead of somebody who's supposed to be a partner in this whole thing calling them, emailing them, saying, look, we got $150 million in this bucket that's supposed to be utilized. We've got until September to do it, and they find out by reading the paper. I want to know who failed, because somebody did, and it was a failure. This isn't just this quick, oh, whoops. If you knew about it and you think about it, the deadline is September. It is January 10th right now. Why are we already deciding to cut the check and send it back when you just heard that the need's already there? At least 100 calls a week? How much could $150 million do to help alleviate some of that for landlords and for those that live in the building? Your thoughts when we come back after the CBS News.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Roberson here with another Dynamite News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? From It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
How many of you out there can recite this entire theme song?
This is the extended version, too.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, then
not the 30-second start of the show. This is the 1:30.
There's more than one version. That is news to me. Well, Bob Saget, unfortunately, dying at 65 unexpectedly. I think he just got done with a show earlier on, and I know people are speculating, well, what could it be? Well, they're saying it's going to take a couple weeks, probably. But early indications that there was no foul play and there was no signs of drugs or anything in there. So, yeah, I mean, you had the Full House Bob Saget, then you had the stand-up comedian Bob Saget.
Yeah, two very different ones. For those of us who grew up in the 80s with Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos.
Which was really like YouTube and some of the other, like the Chive type before. It was all that before the internet.
Right. And then if you happen to see the early 2000s Aristocrat documentary about the dirtiest joke in the history of time.
Yeah, don't watch that with your kids.
His segment on it will have you in tears probably, but it is a very different person than Danny Tanner.
And great at roasting as well. I know that they had some Comedy Central roasts, which some have been quite funny, and Bob Saget being one of them. But that's why we're playing like late 80s bump songs for you today, because it was 87 when I think America's Funniest Home Videos came out. No, did Full House come out before?
Oh boy, I think it might.
I think because I think he went from Full House to America's Funniest Home Videos, and then what was it? Daisy Fuentes and the other dude after the long tenure. Who was the other guy? Somebody knows.
Carlton, wasn't it?
No, Daisy Fuentes was the co-host with some other guy. Somebody knows. Who's the other guy with? Why do I remember Daisy Fuentes and not him? 35270. I'll get you. While you're sending that in, listen to this news update from Paul Jiggers at the KFGO News Center.
It is mostly cloudy and 2 below. The jump in COVID-19 cases is forcing North Dakota to cut back on investigations, and the state is encouraging people who test positive to isolate on their own. The Department of Health says it will continue to monitor virus cases for K-12 students, higher education students, people over age 55, and people in hospitals, long-term care, and nursing homes. Others may not be contacted by caseworkers, but should still follow isolation protocols. Minnesota is looking for something positive in the spread of the Omicron variant. Health experts say they hope it can be found in dropping intensive care hospitalizations for COVID-19. That number fell from 374 in mid-December to 255 last week. The decline temporarily eases pressure on hospitals as they brace for the wave of Omicron infections. North Dakota House Majority Leader Chet Pollard says he will not seek re-election to his legislative seat. The House Republican caucus will be looking for a new leader. The Carrington lawmaker has been in the legislature for 24 years, the last 4 as majority leader. He says it's time to retire.
There's relationships you have to build. You just can't come in here thinking you're going to be, I always say, provincial. But that's why I think I got this job, too, because I always felt that I was working for the citizens of North Dakota, not only District 29.
Pollard is 66. He says his wife is also retiring, and they plan to get North Dakota's largest airports in November, nearly doubled from last year despite the coronavirus. Year-to-date boardings in November were ahead of 2020 at all 8 airports: Bismarck, Minot, Williston, Dickinson, Grand Forks, Fargo, Devils Lake, and Jamestown. Statewide, they were up about 53%, but down 26% from 2019. According to the State Aeronautics Commission, 83,429 people boarded planes at the airports, 8 airports during November. Fargo-Moorhead, partly to mostly cloudy this afternoon. We're expecting a high of near 0, and then temperatures rising tonight and overnight, clear to partly cloudy. Sunny tomorrow, near 30. Clouds for Wednesday. We'll have a chance of light snow, maybe mixed precipitation Wednesday afternoon, according to KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski, and the high near 26. 28 Thursday, mostly cloudy. Again, 2 below. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
KFGO time, 3:10, Monday afternoon. I'm Tyler X. This is Afternoons Live. And I'd ask because Bob Saget, he was the host of America's Funniest Home Videos. And then, like any other show, you had a good run and then move on to somebody else. And Bob Saget did just that. Said, all right, I'm done. And then there was another lineup. And people are saying Tyler is Dave Collier. And it was not. Uncle Joey, they didn't just take one Full House cast member and put him in and replace the other one. It was, I remembered, and it was Daisy Fuentes was part of America's Funniest Home Videos, but I can't think of the other guy with the dark hair that was with her.
I wonder why a mid-90s Daisy Fuentes would be locked into your brain.
I remember Daisy. I do not remember him, but and people this one comes in, that was America's Funniest People. And now Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, for those, is hosting America's Funniest Home Videos. That last part is correct. And so was America's Funniest People. There was a co-host of America's Funniest Home Videos with Daisy Fuentes. And then another one saying it's Dave Collier. It's not. Eric,
not.
You're looking it up?
Did look it up.
Please tell me now.
So I believe you're thinking of John Fugelsang.
Sure.
Yep. Also, briefly, Tom Bergeron.
Tom Bergeron's, yes, he was another one. So is Daisy the John dude?
Tom Bergeron. Now Alfonso Ribeiro,
who is Carlton. So no, it's not Dave Collier and Daisy Fuentes. Dave, he did have, I think it was America's Funniest Home People, as you'd said. Was that about stand-up comedy? I don't remember, or was it just a complete knockoff of America's Funniest Home Videos?
Or a spinoff, maybe?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
We're getting back. Yeah, now my phone's blowing up too. John, Fugelson or something.
Fugelsang?
Sure.
Fugelsang?
Yeah, that we'll go with that. All right, let's get back to work. 237-5948, Lenny Studio Line. Consultants of North Dakota sponsors our text club, and the short code for that is 35270. The $150 million. And you've got lawmakers, and now you just heard from the organizations that contracts and helps out the state do these services that they found out by reading it in the paper, which does show you how important local media is, right? But that is completely unacceptable in all this. And to say, well, we need help getting the word out. Now, this is where, and to not bore you with the weeds, where people are trying to say there was too many restrictions because it was federal dollars, and that might be the case. It very well could have been. That does not in any way prohibit the state of North Dakota from opening up its purse strings just a little bit. Dust it off. Let the moss fly out, and actually put some of our dollars to work to accompany this. You can do matching dollars. Now imagine taking just even $1 million. I don't know if it has to be $1 million, just for a simple math. You take $1 million and put that into, an ad campaign, or you utilize that in a way to help get the word out. That look, we're going to put $1 million in state dollars into this. Let you know that there's approximately $150 million that still is waiting to be utilized with rental assistance in North Dakota. That could have been done. It could have been done at the same time. When you hear about delays, because the legislature, rightfully so, and I have underscored this because in the CARES dollars underneath President Trump at the time, the Emergency Commission, which is 6 people, spent the $1 billion. And I made an argument that the lawmakers, the legislators, need to have a bigger say because they're supposed to be in charge of how this money is spent. So I get it, but this also goes to show for me why we can't just be relying on this every other year session. Now, I know they called it special session, but it was late in the game, and now this process, even though we still have 9 months to find a way to get the word out, which is what we're doing now, albeit after the red lights are flashing with the warning signs about all this. But the fact that people that have been diligent and doing this work didn't even know about it until they read about it, that is a problem. Somebody dropped the ball in trying to get this communicated and then administered the way that other programs in this state have successfully been done. And I think that person, whoever it is, might not be suited for the job. 237-5948, that's the Laney studio line. That's where I connect with Roy. Roy, I hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for calling.
I did. I hope you did too.
I did.
I work with a special population out of prison.
Okay.
They're on probation and parole, and they need housing, they need transportation, and they need phone service. So we try to help them out. But we've been trying to get money for them for rental assistance through Bridge in North Dakota. I don't know if it's attached to this money particularly, but I'm appalled to hear that this is happening in our state. And my big question to you is, has the money been sent back yet?
That's a good question, Roy. I don't have the answer. I do
We're
not.
We're talking about it as if it sounds like it hasn't been sent back yet, but we don't know if it's been sent back, and if it has been sent back, do we have the option of getting it back, because that's money that's been allocated to the state.
Yeah.
And if it's political, let's get our senators and our representative, if they can fit it into their real busy schedule, to try to get the money back, because we have people in North Dakota who need the money. It was meant to help people in North Dakota who are having crisis with their rent payments through COVID. Let's just extend, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
some willingness and some benevolence on the part of North Dakota to help people out.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Well, and Roy, I think there's a lot of people that are agreeing, because if you were to take any other situation for other industries and you had until September, you can bet your bottom dollar that somebody out in Bismarck is going to make sure that it's being utilized before just, I guess, shoulder shrug and send it back. But for whatever reason, when it comes to those that need the help, whether they're people that are getting out of incarceration, people with disabilities, senior citizens that are living off of Social Security, well, we don't give them the time of day. We don't put the effort in like we do in other instances when it comes to the leadership of the state. And that is frustrating.
If I could add one more thing. We've got $1 billion surplus. Is that correct in North Dakota?
Yes. Yeah.
General fund?
Yeah.
What if we just took $150 million of that, and this is a stretch? We're actually matching the $150 million from the federal government. We could offer $300 million to this state, and you would see the surge in employment, because people would have rent paid and they would be willing to work, and they would see some light at the end of the tunnel. If you instill hope in some of these folks that are struggling, $300 million in the state of North Dakota to help out struggling people, it would just be a boom to everybody in the state, employers, the auto dealers, the rental properties, the restaurants, everybody. An injection of $300 million. Let's see if the state legislature has the courage to move on it.
Yeah. Roy, I appreciate the phone call, the passion, the insight, and thanks for the work that you're doing and helping those who are incarcerated get the back on the right track. The courage and the political will to do any of this, not with this makeup, and not with the individuals that are currently out there. And you know what? Unfortunately, the ones that might have that conversation, that might be willing to at least listen, they're leaving. And the latest one just announced that he's retiring this year, and that's Chet Pollard, the House Majority Leader in North Dakota. So you are going to look at, in the legislature alone, the House Majority Leader, the Senate Majority and Minority Leader gone. On the executive branch, you got the Secretary of State, you've got the Attorney General both gone. I mean, this election cycle. Now, granted, we also have redistricting, where you're going to have a lot of people that shouldn't be up for re-election this year now having to run for election. This is a pretty consequential election year in this state. And those that are out there really pounding chests and pounding tables, especially on, I would say, the Republican side in particular. The reason part of this is people wanting to walk away because of their attitudes of this. I don't know that at this given time you're going to have any of the will and the political courage to go out there and do. We didn't even have it when the money wasn't even generated from here. More Afternoons Live after this. I got a lot of messages. I'll try to get to those at 35270. You, me, this microphone, and your cell phone the whole hour here on Afternoons Live. Monday afternoon, rolling on. Stick around.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know. To me, it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years. And I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Beer
Mighty
Cans and Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.
Tyler, with all due respect to those attempting to utilize the funding, it seems like sending the money back is premature. Perhaps a request for an extension on the availability of the money and help the staffing. I think it's probably a hope the staffing would help in being able to take advantage of assisting those who need it. Well, and that's the thing. We don't even need to, the way I understand, ask for an extension because the deadline isn't until September. So why in January we're throwing our hands up saying, well, I guess we just don't got what it takes to help those individuals with rental assistance. That's the message that North Dakota is sending out there. We don't have the time for it. Or is it we don't have the care to do it? I mean, I know organizations that have been tasked with this tough work, and whether that's Roy that's calling in or, the Community Action Partnerships or the Coalition for the Homeless or the Great Plains Food Bank. I mean, you can pick any of those organizations, those nonprofits that wake up every day to try to help out. They're out there trying to make it work. But when you have the state, which appears to be making the decision saying, we'll just send her back, it's a bad message sent. And it's one that seems to be repeated way too often. And the money itself, the dollar amount, staggering. But again, I keep coming back to the fact that if you have all this time to try to find a way to make it work, why aren't you? And I can't imagine that the guidelines are so strict and so stringent when the money was being put out there to try to help as many people as possible. It just, nothing of it makes sense. Now, if this is a vendor issue, a private contractor, okay, well, it's time to cut ties there. And I don't know that it's been put forward who this contractor is. If it's somebody from the state, whether that's the Department of Human Services or the North Dakota Fair Housing, somebody didn't pick up the phone or didn't jump on Zoom or didn't write their legislature or the governor. Somebody didn't connect this to get the word out and use all the means. And here's the thing for you, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, to do a media blitz or a campaign across the state, whether that's through paid media or actually having those activists, or there's a variety of ways to get the word out. And get the word out before it is, how many zeros do we have to put on this to get to the $150 million when we put U.S. Treasury, and where do I mail that to? I mean, the communication could have happened long before that. So those people that are living on fixed incomes, whether that's Social Security or they lost a job, anything could have been assisted. And that was the intent of this money being approved federally. And now North Dakota is the one that's just kind of meh. A lot of messages coming in. I'm going to try to pick ones that aren't cussing at me, or not at me, I shouldn't say, about the situation. Tyler, it's because those people in housing don't vote for them. Another one, message is simple. Republicans don't care about poor people, comes in. There was one other one that I'm trying to find out here. They did some math here, but some of these got so lengthy. And there is the thing. I get not everybody can call in because you're at work, but if you've got a long message, I would encourage you, 237-5948, because I can't sit and read all of that in one quick sitting here. Here it is. Thank you. Tyler, regarding the rental assistance, if they have $150 million, and if this organization alone is getting 100 calls for about 30 weeks to September, just give $50,000 to every caller, easy breezy. Very oversimplified, but I get what your point is. There are, if you're getting 100 calls a week to have, ask for some help, the need is there, and that's not even including probably some people that don't have the means to make the phone call. You know that the housing or the homeless population has been growing before COVID even in this state as well. So I just, for the life of me, want to know who didn't pick up the phone and say, look, we've got this pot of money. We need your help in getting the word out. More Afternoons Live right after this. We'll check in with Paul Jurgens at the KFGO News Center. Rusty Halverson next. Your phone calls to follow. Don't go anywhere.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know. To me, it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years. And I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion
KFGO News, mostly cloudy, 2 below zero. I'm Paul Juergens. About zero for our high this afternoon. The Becker County Sheriff's Office has located a missing 82-year-old rural Ogama, Minnesota man. James Malari was last seen in the Park Rapids area, and there was concern that he was not dressed for the weather. The Sheriff's Office says he's now been located safe near Greenbush in northwestern Minnesota and was to be reunited with his family. Both Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer and general manager Rick Spielman have been fired.
Owner Mark Wilf.
It's a difficult day for us. They're good people. We've had a great working relationship with them for years, and we're proud of the work we've gotten to. But we felt now is the time to make a change. It's time to get a new fresh air to the enterprise and to try to win championships and get us to the next level.
Spielman had been with the Vikings for 16 years. He issued a statement thanking the Vikings organization and the fans. Zimmer coached the Vikings for 8 seasons and is the third winningest coach in franchise history. Wilf says they'll begin a deliberate search for a new general manager and head coach.
Reporter Laura Oakes in Minneapolis. 2 below. This is KFGO News. Two below zero, this is KFGO News. Another top North Dakota Republican is leaving the legislature. House Majority Leader Chet Pollard says he will not seek re-election. He's from Carrington and has been in the legislature for 24 years, the last 4 as Majority Leader.
You got to have an open door, you know that, so people realize they can come in and talk to you anytime that they need to, or if you're walking down a hallway, that they can interrupt and talk. And I think I've always been that way.
Pollard says his wife is also retiring, and they plan to travel. Last month, Senate Majority Leader Rich Wardner, also a Republican, announced that he will not run again. An Army veteran and former healthcare executive says he's running for governor of Minnesota, joining a small number of other Republicans who have announced for the job. Kendall Qualls lives in Medina with his wife and 5 children. He says he's the first and only member of his family to go to college and has earned 2 master's degrees. Qualls made an unsuccessful bid for Congress in 2020. Fire crews fought a large fire at a condemned hotel in Duluth in sub-zero cold. The roof of the old Seaway Hotel in the Lincoln Park Craft District collapsed, and firefighters were pulled out of the building. Some residents and workers in adjacent buildings were evacuated. The building's owned by the Duluth Housing and Redevelopment Authority. It was condemned and slated for demolition after another building was put up to house the hotel's former residents. Firefighters from neighboring Superior were providing mutual aid. An oil well has exploded and caught fire in northwestern North Dakota. There were no reports of any injury. The Divide County Sheriff's Office says the oil storage tank that exploded held about 1,300 barrels of oil. It is northeast of Grenora. The fire was contained at the site. Fargo-Moorhead clear to partly cloudy overnight. Wind picks up out of the south-southeast a bit, and we'll see the temperature rise on our way to about 30 tomorrow, partly sunny. Wednesday, cloudy, chance of light snow, maybe some mixed precipitation Wednesday afternoon, about 26. Mostly cloudy Thursday, the high near 28 degrees. Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy, 2 below. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
Rusty Halverson back in the KFGO studio.
Hello.
Been waiting all hour for you.
Yeah.
Glad you're a man of your word.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, last hour we had one of the many sayings from the
many sayings
in agriculture. That's what President Joe Biden had to say. But
yes.
Said, okay, well, yep, I like what I heard in the clip of affordable inputs, markets for your product, being able to service and repair your own equipment. Okay, but what is the administration doing?
Big picture ideas, big ticket items that the president was kind of talking about. And again, Farm Bureau members meeting in Atlanta, Georgia for their annual convention next year. They move it around, Tyler. Next year they're going to be in Puerto Rico, I understand.
Well, how nice. How nice would that be? Where did you go again for the broadcast? Weren't you in like Kansas?
Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City.
Yep, it's been there since the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You know what? Nothing wrong with Kansas, but Puerto Rico this time of year,
Yep.
not a bad gig.
Before that, it was in Chicago. I was not at those meetings because, I'm too young for that, I guess. But it's been in Kansas City for a long time. Okay. But at the Atlanta convention, getting back to the story, Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack speaking to the members in person today and announced a new initiative, USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service, a new partnership with Farmers for Soil Health. Now, that's an initiative of the United Soybean Board, National Corn Growers, and National Pork Board. They want to advance the use of soil health practices, especially cover crops, on corn and soybean farms. The initiative has a goal of doubling the number of corn and soybean acres using cover crops to 30 million acres by the year 2030. And Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack unveiled that initiative to members at that meeting being held in Atlanta.
And we're excited about the opportunity to use conservation assistance and help to do so. We're announcing today in 11 states roughly $38 million to begin that process of expanding incentives and encouraging additional cover crop activity. We're also looking for the opportunity, what we started in 2021, which was an innovative conservation incentive initiative that was focused on water quality and soil health. We started in a few states, and we're announcing today that we're going to make those opportunities available nationwide. So more resources forthcoming to Farm Bureau members in the area of conservation. We're excited about that opportunity.
Now, that pilot program on cover crops is going to be in 11 states, as the Secretary mentioned, including nearby states, South Dakota and Iowa. Sign-up dates will be determined at the state level. But another step by the administration to, help growers move into this climate-smart agriculture that we're talking about.
Well, and if you can find a way to make it, reasonable financially, then I think that's the key there. So you got to put money behind it.
Yeah, and the Secretary mentioned that, they want to reward growers for new practices, sustainable practices, and also reward early adopters of those practices too.
That's another thing.
Yep.
Early adopters, because some people are looking at this saying, look, we're already doing this.
Yep, doing it already.
Very good, Rusty. Appreciate it, man.
You bet.
See you tomorrow.
Absolutely. We'll have more stuff tomorrow. Sugar Beet Research Forum. A lot of sessions going on in West Fargo tomorrow. National Sunflower Association. Those folks in town this week as well. So lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, here's the thing. We are now 10 days into January. The holiday feel of everybody just
gone.
It's over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she is gone.
Back to business.
Back to work, boys and girls. Rusty, appreciate it.
You bet.
That's some top-notch work that him and Sarah Heinrich do. You can go check more out. KFGO.com. Just click on that agriculture tab. I'm going to get back to working on some of your thoughts on this whole situation, but all that comes right after the CBS National News. More Afternoons Live right after this.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, Volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out, as people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of independence.
I need to explain, for just tuning in, we're doing like an 87, 89 hits. Right here, Waiting by Richard Marx is not a regular go-to, so we're not trying to lull you into a mid-afternoon nap. We're going to talk about some vintage snowmobiles at the top of the hour, and then we'll wrap up the show. Recapping the weekend that was in sports, and boy, is there a lot to recap. Derek Hansen will be joining me in studio. Vikings made their move. Not surprised whatsoever. Now the question is, Kirk Cousins stay or does he go? There were some other actual coaching changes that surprised me. Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores, what are you doing? We'll talk about that later on. Also, Carson Wentz missing the playoffs. We did, quite frankly, recap a lot of the game earlier on, at least the field conditions. We'll talk about NDSU getting their 9th title and more. But in the meantime, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the failure in North Dakota to even really attempt to find a way to find the assistance of $150 million in rental. I mean, that's certainly the appearance. And if someone out there is listening, which I know there's people in the Capitol, there's staff all around that listen, and if we're missing how the effort, the A+ attempt was done by this administration and Doug Burgum or North Dakota Housing or the Department of Human Services, or if they're, by all means, the Laney studio line's open for you. And I'll even give you the toll-free 1-800-880-5346. Explain it. Because right now the appearance is you're cutting ties on a program that could do a lot of help 9 months before it has a deadline for people that probably need the help the most. Messages are coming. And Tyler, what a shock. The state, run by a software guy, I can't get this program up and running. Another one, Tyler, oil sure got free money so fast, just like all the bogus PPE sent out. Tyler, it infuriates me that they don't build housing for the homeless with all this money. It's hard to see people out in the elements and then hear that the Burgum elites don't have time, energy to do their jobs. Well, even if they're not willing to do it at the state level, if they're just going to, we don't have time, go out there and do another Main Street Initiative conference or whatever it is that is consuming time. You just heard from one of the partners out there at these organizations, these associations and nonprofits that are willing, dedicated to do the job. And they didn't even know this was happening until it was reported in the news. So if you want to delegate, if you want to hand off the responsibilities to take care of fellow North Dakotans, you got places that are willing to do it. You just got to pick up that phone and make the phone call. And that doesn't appear to have been done. And that's what is having me certainly pull my hair out on this, because there's still time, unless if that check's already in the Postal Service process to get out there, then it unfortunately is too late. But if it's not, pick up the phone. Say, look, we're reconsidering We got caught. We got caught not doing the job. We got caught not even attempting to put the $150 million to work. That's going to not only help those families, but those landlords, of which I know some are listening right now. Aren't you upset that could have gone to avoid either delays in rent or evictions, which I'm sure isn't very cheap? You could have, the state could have provided these federal dollars to help you in your properties instead of throw the hands up and walk away. And now with this, to hear that lawmakers also didn't know, again, somebody dropped the ball here. But this makeup going forward going to change. You just heard on KFGO News that Chet Pollard, a longtime legislator in the House, he's the House Majority Leader. He's throwing up his hands and saying, I'm done also. So you've got the House Majority Leader, the Senate Majority Leader, the Senate Minority Leader. Now, granted, Joan Hickman, the Democrat, was redistricted out of her job. I don't know if she would have ran again or not, but it's just another individual that has been there for a long time saying this is just too much for me now. Question's why? I mean, it's got to be the climate, right? There's got to be reasons why you have so many people that have dedicated so much time. Even if we had disagreements, they were public servants that actually wanted to do what was in their mind right. And I do believe Chet Pollard, Rich Wardner on the Republican side, certainly those. I know Joan Hickman was. I know Aaron Oban was. I know Nicole Pullman was as well on the Republican side. Yeah, you have got those that actually wanted to go out there and do this, many of them leaving. And I'm happy to see that. Oh, and Pam Anderson announced on these airwaves last week down in South Fargo that she is also retiring. Glad to see that Kathy Hogan is running again. She's somebody that's involved, to try to address these issues. But I'm worried the further on into 2022 we get, you're going to start seeing more and more of these. And if it can be done now, and if you got all these new individuals, these new faces out there, it's going to be even worse trying to get the work done. This election is going to be really important. I mean, they all are, but this election, when it comes to the trajectory of what is being prioritized, is going to be quite consequential in this state. And we'll be following along as well throughout this process. I'm going to get you that weather update from Too Tall Tom Schmancy and get back to your thoughts right after this. I'm Tyler Axis. It's Monday afternoon. You got locked into KFGO Fargo.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Air
Mighty
Cancer
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Was this 87 or 89 of Rick Astley giving us Never Gonna Give You Up?
I believe this was 1987, but yep, 1987.
Who started the Rick rolling with this, by the way? Like, I mean, did this just something naturally that happened on the World Wide Web? I mean, I always trash social media, of which I use a lot. But sometimes it gives you a little hint of joy, like getting Rick rolled.
Yeah,
How did it start?
Well, so the early ones were a link that looked like something you would want, and it would take you to his
YouTube,
video.
Yeah, that video.
I don't know what the first one would have been, or if that's even been documented. It's just become so ubiquitous.
If we could have more fun things like that go viral instead of stupid things, I'd be okay. I wouldn't be as hard on social media accounts. I mean, it either had to be a college presentation or a work situation. Because, I mean, this Rickroll's been around for a long time.
I wonder if it stems back to the Napster, LimeWire, Kazaa days where you would get a link to something you thought was one thing, and it took you...
There was nothing quite as frustrating than having dial-up internet.
Mm-hmm.
And what you hope that your parents didn't have to make a phone call, because guess what? I'm leaving her on because I am downloading songs. And then you go and you hear a banger on the radio, and you're like, I'm going to go download this. It was past the statute of limitations at this point. And then you'd search it and you'd see some of the weird symbols where, but I can't find one that looks like it's fully legit. So I'm going to take a chance. And then you download it and it's an entirely different song.
Yeah,
or a virus. Yeah. But you either got the wrong song or a virus in which you had to hopefully had a family member that knew how to fix your computer because you were using things like Napster or LimeWire. What was the other one?
Kazaa.
Never used that one.
Yeah, I want to say that one was in between Napster and LimeWire, but I could be incorrect about that.
Yeah, Metallica. They're the ones that ripped away.
Yeah, Lars Ulrich really did not make friends when he went after Napster.
Nope, I recall being young and naive and just wanting my songs. I wasn't a fan, but I totally get it. I totally understand. They were well within the right. I'm glad it's been resolved. Now you can just go watch YouTube for everything.
Right. Yeah, and you might have to watch an ad here or there.
Yeah.
But...
Does anybody actually do the free trial for adless YouTube?
No.
It's like after 10 prompts of saying, hey, you got this free trial over here if you don't want to watch that. And if I click no every time, after 10, just don't ask anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm not going to do the free or the paid YouTube. I will suffer through 3 ads. It's fine.
Yeah.
Because half the time you give me the option to skip out of the ad anyway.
Yep. And it's 15 seconds are the long ones. The long non-skippable ones are 15 seconds.
YouTube, again, coming full circle here. I mean, really replace some of those things like America's Funniest Home Videos, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. I think Carlton or Alfonso, I can't think of his last name, still hosts.
Ribeiro.
But it's, I haven't watched it, so it's not fair for me to say it can't be the same as when Bob Saget was doing it.
I think it's become kind of cyclical almost, though, because it was America's Funniest Home Videos, and then we started getting the internet and access to these all the time. But then there became these shows like Tosh.0, Ridiculousness.
Which Tosh.0 stayed on for, I would say, about 15 years too long.
It had its moments. But yeah, probably a little bit of a longer run than it needed.
Agreed. I don't know that there's a whole lot of people that disagree. And if they do, all you have to do is text me at 35270. Here's what's coming up after the top of the hour here. We've been at length about this whole failure in North Dakota to get money out to people that need it. This question comes to Tyler, did someone drop the ball or did they intentionally decide to not accept the rent assistance money? No, it's accepted, and it went through, I believe, the legislature to get there. So there from the administration to actually roll this out, that's where the ball being dropped. Now, we can talk at length, which we've done from quite some time, is whether or not the way of which North Dakota does things is appropriate for the times. To have to wait so long to have the legislature give their input, which I do support, the legislature giving their input, but if you have to wait so long and then all of this gets stretched out and the people that need it are having to wait, then I think it's still yet another example of why we got to reevaluate why we meet every other year. Now, I get it, there's a special session, but it was, albeit a little bit later on as well. But somebody has the money. They rolled out a little bit of it, but not to the tune of what was available. Now, some are saying we don't have the means of which to get that out. Well, I think we've got the means. We've got the people in place, albeit maybe they're short-staffed, or, well, maybe there weren't enough people eligible. That if that's the case, prove it. It's that simple. Prove it. That's all we're asking of you right now, because if not, it looks like you just walked away with all these months left. All right, switch gears. We're talking about vintage snowmobiles over in Detroit Lakes. Then we'll recap the weekend in sports, all in the 4 o'clock hour right here on KFGO.
Halverson here with another Don News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. JJ Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring, and that's what this is. You know, that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
It's a moment where I really trust my producer. As you know, we stream on YouTube now. You can go to kfgo.com and Which I hope he just waits to turn that camera on for me.
I got your back. I don't always do it. I was bopping my head too.
You were swinging shoulders or hips if you're at a standing desk or in your truck. Don't you lie to me or yourself. This one got you moving just a little bit. We're playing songs from 87, 89 throughout the day here. We got another hour with you. We're going to be visiting about vintage snowmobiles a little bit before this era. In fact, we're going to be telling you about that with Wayne in Detroit Lakes here after KFGO News. Also, Zimmer's gone. Spielman's gone. What about Kirk Cousins? You got a new coach and a new GM coming in. Are you going to extend his contract or do you trade, start over? I don't know. We're going to talk about that. And also, Carson Wentz not making the playoffs. And, of course, we got to recap the 9th championship title. That's going to be with Derek Hansen at the bottom of the hour. In the meantime, here's some KFGO News.
KFGO News, mostly cloudy and 2 below. I'm Paul Jurgens. The Becker County Sheriff's Office says it has located an 82-year-old rural Ogama, Minnesota man. James Malari was last seen in the Park Rapids area. There was concern that he was not dressed for the weather. The Sheriff's Office says he has been located safe near Greenbush in northwestern Minnesota and was to be reunited with his family. Another top North Dakota Republican says he is retiring from politics and will not run for re-election. Chet Pollard has served as the House Majority Leader for 2 legislative sessions and been in the legislature for 24 years. He says he wants to spend more time with his family and travel. The 66-year-old Pollard has represented a district in east central North Dakota since 1998. He was elected Majority Leader in 2018. Pollard's announcement means Republicans will have new leadership teams in both the House and Senate in the next session. Senate Majority Leader Rich Wardner announced last month he would not seek re-election. A prominent conservative voice in the Minnesota House, Republican Tim Miller from Princeburg near Wilmer, says he is not running for re-election. He says he will focus on working full-time in the pro-life movement. Among Miller's proposals in the legislature, he pushed to reopen the once privately run Prairie Correctional Center in Appleton when the state was considering a new prison. He also worked on the Montevideo Veterans Nursing Home anti-abortion legislation and helped form a splinter group at the legislature, the new House Republican Caucus. The jump in COVID-19 cases is forcing North Dakota to cut back on investigations, and the state is encouraging people who test positive to isolate on their own. The Department of Health says it will continue to monitor virus cases for K-12 students, higher education students, people over age 55, and people in hospitals, long-term care, and nursing homes. Others may not be contacted by caseworkers but should still follow isolation protocols. U.S. Senator Tina Smith is letting people know about a new law that's designed to keep emergency medical bills from breaking the bank.
This happens when somehow when you go into the emergency room, you're treated with an out-of-network lab or doctor, or somehow you end up with this surprise bill. And it's not fair to people because you didn't choose to get that care. You didn't choose that provider.
The No Surprises Act went into effect at the start of the year. It bans patients from being held responsible for most unexpected ER charges from doctors and hospitals outside of their insurance network that they didn't choose. According to some federal estimates, the law will apply to about 10 million unexpected medical bills each year. And the Vikings have fired General Manager Rick Spielman and Coach Mike Zimmer. The move came today after a second straight absence from the playoffs. Zimmer went 72-56-1 in 8 seasons, plus 2 and 3 in the playoffs. 65-year-old Zimmer had the longest-serving tenure among NFL head coaches this season. Spielman was with the team since 2006 and general manager since 2012. Clearing tonight, Fargo-Moorhead clear to partly cloudy at least, with the temperature rising on her way to about 30 for the afternoon high tomorrow, partly sunny. Clouds back in on Wednesday with a chance of light snow, mixed precipitation Wednesday afternoon, 26. Thursday, mostly cloudy and 28. Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy, 2 below. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
KFGO time is 4:10 on a Monday. You know what? It wasn't long ago that you and I fell into a conversation about snowmobiles, in particular because guess what? There's actually snow out there this winter, and people have been out having fun on them. Well, guess what? The 19th annual DL Vintage Rally and Swap Meet and Radar Run happening in Detroit Lakes is going to be taking place this February 19th on a Saturday. Here to tell you about that is Wayne Schlotteroff with his whole outfit. Wayne, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well for a Monday, surprisingly well for a Monday of which we were down in Texas. Got back last night, but we're making it to 5 o'clock pretty quickly here.
There we go. I bet it's quite a temperature change.
Yeah, it was a shock to the system, to say the least. when we got up here and it was, of course, dark out. I'm glad to be home, except for the weather. But you know what? This weather does provide some fun out there as far as outdoor activities. Once it warms up just a little bit, tell me about this 19th annual, this Detroit Lakes Vintage Rally. I've had people talking about it off and on. I'm glad to finally get a chance to learn more from you, Wayne.
Well, it's been a show that obviously we've been putting on for 19 years, and it's really grown considerably from what we started with. Last year we had over 200 show sleds at the show itself. 200? Yes. Normally run about 130 to 150, but last year with COVID, it really busted loose everybody. It was nice weather. Mm-hmm. We'd just come out of a cold spell, and then, of course, with COVID, everybody could get out, so it went over well.
Now, that's one thing, Wayne. The outdoors, they never close down, so when people have these opportunities to go out there and enjoy it, it seems, and this might be an even bigger year for you because it seems like any other outdoor thing that I've been to, whether it's ice fishing, seminars, there is an urge to be outside and do things. And if you're going to be looking at some vintage snowmobiles, a radar run, and all this, why wouldn't you want to take part of it?
Yes, for sure. It's a lot of history involved there. And, of course, this year we've changed it up a little bit. We were doing the classic sleds up to 97. Now this year we went from 98 up to present. So, we figure why not include that, all the people that have the newer sleds too.
Well, and that's what I was asked. As far as vintage goes, people in their minds. So, because here, I'll give you an example. When I turn on a classic rock station, I'm finding more and more of my high school music on there. And I'm saying, hey, this isn't classic. This isn't vintage. Same thing goes for other products. So you're opening it up saying, you know what, come on and we're just going to have a great time.
Yes. I mean, why not include everybody? It's not only more for the show, but it makes them feel involved.
What's the most unique vintage snowmobile that you remember seeing during these 19 years?
I don't know. I think what stands out in my mind is some of the rear engine sleds back in the early to mid 60s. Artie Katz, Polaris, and then of course Foxtrack also made a rear engine. So that probably stands out in my mind.
Well, yeah, I hadn't even heard of a thing like that. So the one that, here's the thing for me, Wayne. I grew up in the area where it really felt like there was just two. You had Polaris, you had Arctic Cat, and then that was pretty much it. So to hear all these different brands from that era that I think is probably considered vintage just kind of blows me away. It seems like everybody wanted to get in the snowmobile, market here. Are you surprised how many are still around that people kept up as far as antiques to where they come out and they show up for the thing like this?
Yes, I am, because we're still seeing a lot of them come out of the barns and stuff, and you're really surprised that what is still available are still out there hiding.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
So as far as February 19th, what can people expect? I mean, we're talking about a vintage rally, what the swap meet, you got a radar run. Just give me a rundown of what that day looks like for somebody that hasn't been there before.
Well, if you know reservists at Detroit Lakes, we pretty much take up to half the city beach there for sure. We line up all of our classes by years in restored class and unrestored. We've got 22 classes, but this year we've added a couple more classes. So that's all lined up along the city beach by the years. And then, of course, the swap meet takes place right behind the show, big area. That's gotten bigger, too, but swap meet depends a lot on the weather. It's weather-driven. And then the radar run is off to the right, heading towards the bowling alley. And, of course, that is weather permitting, too, on ice conditions. And that can gain anywhere from 100 to 300 sleds there for the radar run.
It's incredible. That's a lot of people out there riding sleds. Sounds like a great time. If somebody wants to partake, say, all right, well, guess what? This summer I picked up a hobby. I restored this old vintage sled. I want to come out and and ride. How does that work? Is there a registration process? What do people have to do to
As far as
participate?
the show, it's a $5. Well, we ask you to buy a $5 raffle ticket. That also gets you in for the show up to 4, and then over that we don't charge for the show sleds. And then, as far as the ride, there's no charge. The ride takes off at noon after the trophies, and we've got 9 sponsoring bars. 7 are right on the lake, of course, and 2 are north of town. So, I mean, it's not a long ride, but it's a nice ride because most of it's on the lake, or if you want to go north too.
Well, and any excuse to ride, I'm sure for some of these individuals, hey, they'll take it, especially if it's going to be a nice Saturday out there. So again,
and it is.
Go ahead.
There is a groomed trail to these 2 places north of town too, so it's not like it's a cross-country ride or anything like that. And along with the raffle ticket you buy, there is 8 or 9 stubs on there. You could drop one at each bar or whatever bar. The bar is giving door prizes away also.
Oh, well, even more reason to get out there, boys and girls. Saturday, February 19th, going to be at the Detroit Lake City Beach. Wayne, what did I miss that you need to get out about this ride or about snowmobiling in general here?
Probably the restored Scorpion snowmobile that's on our one raffle ticket, the 1970 Mark III. We always restore them ourselves. Me and a group of guys take them apart and reassemble them. We've got guys in our club that actually do the painting and all, and they really turn out wonderful. This Scorpion actually has the original Scorpion seat on it yet.
Okay, well, now you got me my gears turning. You say you and the boys in the club. What club we talking about? I'm thinking of people that are listening out in whatever corner of the KFGO listening audience. Say, you know what, I've got this out here, and maybe I don't have time, but if there's a club that does this, explain that to me there, Wayne.
Well, it's the Ultra Snowmobile Club, right? We're located right here in Detroit Lakes. And, we started long before I got involved. I've been involved since 2000. And this restoring of a sled and giving away every year, I think we're now on to our 11th sled. So, I mean, it goes really well. It's a group effort to restore it, and it's a lot of fun, and they really turn out nice.
Oh, it sounds awesome. I tell you what, I'm gonna have to put this one on the calendar. I know that there's one. There's rides happening elsewhere. I think the week before that I've already committed, but this one, I think the calendar is open. So you might be seeing me out there on February 19th. Wayne, anything else before I let you go this time?
No, I think we've covered the majority of it. But if they've got any questions, they can certainly give me a holler too, because I certainly answer a lot of questions.
Well, very good. We'll put up this information. I know we got a flyer here that we can put up on the podcast. So if people are wondering, it's all right there for you. We'll make it easy for you, Wayne, all right?
Appreciate it.
All right. Hey, thanks for taking time. You take care. Until then, we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
All right. You. Yeah, you bet. Wayne Schlotterhoff, he is one of the big wigs when it comes to getting this Detroit Lakes Vintage Rally Swap Meet and Radar Run. That's a mouthful, but you know what? It's 19th annual, so they've been having the success with this. Show registration 8 to 11 o'clock then that Saturday. Detroit Lake City Beach. You're going to want to be there. I got a photo of this Scorpion Mark III that's restored from 1970. Again, you have all these brands. I don't know. I mean, maybe I just happened to miss out because of when I was born, but we had Polaris, we had Articat, and we had a Skidoo. And that was it. Those are the only 3 that I remember. What am I missing? 35270. Call me on the Laney Studio line at 237-5948. Again, I want to go ahead and remind you that the Text Club, Consultants of North Dakota. That is a new sponsorship for the program here, so I appreciate that. More Afternoons Live right after this.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. You know, that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from
It
Takes
Two?
Doug
Miller
with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments.
Asking you shall receive. We just got done visiting with Wayne Schlotteroff. Detroit Lakes are going to want to be there February 19th for this Detroit Lakes Vintage Rally swap meet and radar run. Sounds like a great time. And, of course, you get the 1970 restored Scorpion Mark III, which is hearing that. Look, we got the club, the Ultra Snowmobile Club, which you go to ultradl.org and check it out. It's a group of buddies getting together. We all put in some time and we restore these old snowmobiles. But I was saying, I don't know if it was better in my time. I would assume better for all of you that are texting it. Because, and I'll start with this one because it's pretty accurate. Tyler, when you were a kid, there was Polaris, Skidoo, Arctic Cat, and Yamaha. Yes, I forgot about the Yamaha. Back in the 60s and 70s, there was probably close to 100 companies that tried making sleds, I would imagine. Now, when I get these that are coming, Snowjet, Columbia, John Deere, Homelight, Evinrude, Viking, John Deere snowmobiles from the 70s and 80s, I wonder at what point they decided, you know what, we just can't really keep up with Arctic Cat, Polaris, and they said, we'll go back to just making mowers and tractors. Or you know what, we're gonna focus on making boat engines instead of the snowmobile. Like what at what point did they say, you know what, we just don't have what it takes to compete in this market?
Yeah,
there's so much competition.
I wonder how many of them were like corporate mergers, or they bought technology. I know Harley Davidson made snowmobiles for a short period of time.
Really?
I have no idea what years they are, but I've seen pictures of them.
Yeah, it's nope, we're done. We're getting back to motorcycles. That's it.
Right.
You know what? Instead of snowmobiles, we're just sticking with jet skis, which are arguably snowmobiles made for water.
Yeah, right. Or I don't remember what company it is. It might be Polaris that they make a trike, a motorcycle that is a snowmobile, but it's just got wheels where the track and skis would be. Set up exactly the same with two in the front, one in the rear.
It's like, okay, well, we got these leftover your body casings. Yeah. Throw a couple wheels on there. Let her buck. I just, the way that it's narrowed out, it's consolidated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I complain about this consolidation in other industries. Do we dare go back down the meat packing industry, for example? Now you got consolidation to where you have 4 major ones. I mean, in the snowmobile field now, today, now you're going to be able to check out all these vintage ones, again, February 19th if you go to Detroit Lakes. $5 ticket. Come on. It's cheap. But today, I mean, is there only 2? And when it comes to snowmobiles, now I know the side-by-side market has grown.
Well,
and you got tracks on those now.
Arctic Cat and Polaris are still making snowmobiles, right?
Correct.
Skidoo's still making.
That's what I don't know.
I'm not sure.
So what, are there 3?
Yamaha might be, but I'm not positive about that.
I imagine they're solely jet skis now.
You think so?
I don't know. I don't know why. When I hear Yamaha. I think only jet skis.
Yeah, I guess I have.
Did Wave Racer of the Nintendo 64
that
ruin?
might have done
That's
it
what
for
it
you.
was. Now
Because,
they're boxed in.
I mean, they definitely were in the dirt bike game for a while too.
Oh, how could I forget about the dirt bike situation? Never had one of those. Had a snowmobile, never a dirt bike.
Yeah, I was at four-wheelers. I had a cousin who raced them, but he was like 10 years older than me, so I never really.
Yeah, you were too young.
Yep.
237-5948. I'm thinking this is Yukon King that comes in. I don't know the other one. Tyler, in mid-70s started consolidations, and by early 80s was down to the few we know today. Cat went bankrupt in the early 80s. So, Cat, but Cat's still making them now. I mean, he can file bankruptcy, I suppose, as a business and reorganize, I think is what they ended up doing, to where you still have Arctic Cat being made, which I found was, quite frankly, just a hop, skip, and a jump from where I'm sitting right now. I knew Polaris was up on the northern regions. That's where they originated. I had no idea. Naive little Tyler sitting in the studio here. Didn't know that Arctic Cat was made just down the road as well. All right. You know what else is down the road? Minnesota Vikings. And they are on the road to a new organization from the GM to the head coach. Does that go down to the quarterback level with Kirk Cousins? We don't know. We're going to visit with Derek Hansen after we get you caught up in the latest KFGO news. And then also, all the Indianapolis Colts had to do was win and get in. They had to beat arguably the worst team in the NFL. Carson Wentz then gets into the playoffs. And they didn't do it. And because they lost, and because last night's crazy game, now the Steelers are in, but it does leave people questioning whether or not Carson Wentz is going to be the guy going forward in Indianapolis. My gut tells me yes for at least one more year, but not everyone that I was visiting with over the weekend, or at least yesterday, agreed with that take. We'll get Derek's answer to that, and quite frankly, we'll just recap that national championship game down in Frisco, Texas. You want to join the conversation, you are welcome to it. 35270. That's the iConsultants of North Dakota. You can also call into the Laney studio line at 237-594. Toll free, also available to you. I'll pick up the tab today. 1-800-880-5346. Final hour of afternoons, or final half hour of Afternoons Live. Monday, can you tell? Right after this, Paul Jurgens, KFGO News.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that It Takes Two? Doug here with the morning crew this morning. Paul Jurgens, News Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, Volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out, as people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. The hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out, as people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw.
Get you caught up with CBS and national news headlines in a moment. Here's some questions to ponder. With Zimmer and Spielman gone, do you stick around with Kirk Cousins, or does he go as well? What do you want in a profile of next year's coach for the Minnesota Vikings? If you were the Raiders, do you just allow that game to be tied, or do you kick that field goal and let one of your rivalries and the Pittsburgh Steelers into the playoffs? Is Carson Wentz going to be the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts next year? Those are some of the questions NFL. Also, NDSU winning a 9th title and doing it easily. What's that mean for the future of this program and a kind of a dwindling down FCS? That and more coming up. Derek Hansen, Sports, right after this.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Mighty
Kansas Couch Potato
Radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Paul Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.
Once at karaoke, because when you hear the song, you think you could sing along with it, but when you do the karaoke version and they don't have the vocals with it, boy, was that a disaster. That's why I just do tequila now.
My 10th class reunion,
the song, not the shot.
Yeah, my 10th class reunion, I thought it would be funny to try to do Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. I'm still tired after that one.
It's like a 7-8-minute song.
I was like, man, looking at Meatloaf, you didn't realize it takes everything in his being to do that song live. That was 8 minutes of hell. That's what that was.
I don't want to sound like you could just walk off the stage.
No, I did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you drop the mic, at least?
Yeah, I said, that's enough.
And everybody applauded. Said, "Yep, that was."
Oh man, that was rough.
Enough.
I'll never forget that. I won't do that again. Won't make that mistake.
It only takes one time.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Hansen.
I'll stick with short Johnny Cash songs again. My deep voice. That's the only thing that works.
Keep that monotone and you're good to go.
Exactly.
Derek Hansen's hosted Couch Potato Radio. So did you do some fan lines yesterday? Was it getting getting people ready for what we all pretty much expected today?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there wasn't a lot of,
You won. That helped.
Yeah, there wasn't really a lot of surprise by any of this, right? So for me, I think I guess the question was more of Spielman, I think, whether or not he was going to get put upstairs or whatever. I think there was some speculation that he might take another job within the organization. They look somewhere else. But no, they got rid of them both, and now it's just going to be, to me, as I mentioned with Joel Heitkamp this morning, you almost think that they have to hire the GM first to get his or her, I guess, coach. I mean, I think that would be logical.
That seems like the most reasonable thing.
Yeah,
to do,
you're not
but
going to
that
hire
doesn't-
an athletic director before the football coach. If you have
by the way,
openings.
here's your new boss, so we hired after
Right.
you, and then you have that dynamic.
You'd almost think the coach would have to hire his general manager then.
At that point, which that would just make for a weird relationship and organization going forward. But ultimately, now you got two questions on my mind. One, what's the profile do you want in a coach going forward? And two, do you stick with Kirk Cousins now?
Well, I think that's going to kind of come down to the head coach and general manager too, right?
Yeah.
And I think that really is, I want to get in the brain of Ziggy and Mark Wilf's head. Do they believe in Kirk Cousins? Do they believe that he can take them to the promised land? Because if that is the case, that's got to be a part of the interview process, right?
Imagine,
you almost have to.
This is what we have in a quarterback. Here's his abilities. Can you coach this?
Yeah, I mean, because we're going to stick with them. We actually, I'm sure they're going to be talking to Rob Brzezinski, their salary cap guru, about, okay, we need to work this out because they don't want to have him count $40 million against the salary cap next year. So they're going to restructure that. You think? If they do restructure, I think he's here for 3 more years. It'd be, and that would make sense, right? I mean, where he's at in his career or whatever. I think you get 3 out.
You retire as
and
a
maybe,
Viking, then.
yeah, and maybe he just spreads that money out that he's making now, guaranteed over 3 years, with a little bit more on the back end. That's fine. If not, if a coach comes in and says, "You're not going to win with him. Here's my guy. Here's my plan. Here's what I want to do." That would be an interesting conversation. That's the great unknown with this, because to say that you just can't separate that part of it. It's the quarterback is like everything. That wins or loses you games, I would say 85% of the time is how that quarterback plays. And you can give examples of a Nick Foles who won a Super Bowl. You're right. But at that time, he was the hottest quarterback in the league. I mean,
more appropriate would be like a Trent Dilfer, for example.
Right.
Well,
of course, but that was a different time, too. You're talking 22 years ago, where the defense could just pretty much win it on their own.
22 years?
Yeah, 2000.
Oh, that one hurt a little bit. That one stung.
I know.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
That is insane. Boy.
I just knocked you over a feather there, didn't I?
I just got hit at the goal line by Hunter Lipke for no reason. Anyway, back
that's
to
just
the
way it goes.
It's that great unknown. I think that's where you have to go with the GM, the coach. But that coach, there's so much uncertainty right now with all this, clearly, as you can tell by the perplexion in my voice.
Right.
It's going to be such an interesting offseason because you're going to potentially have an entirely new, lineup when it comes to just this offensive strategy, coaching, and I mean, who's at the helm behind center?
Well, that's just it. So the quarterback's the one thing. On the other side of the ball, some of Zimmer's guys, right, which are most definitely Anthony Barr and Harrison Smith. They're making big money. Right. Harrison Smith's just an extension, and there'd be a little bit of dead cap money with it. But is that something that they'll look at? I mean, there's the biggest thing is when you look at the dead cap money. That's what really hurts it, because one thing, you got to pay some of these guys off. They'll go sign with another team, but it's still going to count against the salary cap without having that player. So those are going to be the guys to watch as far as what they're going to make. I think Adam Thielen's probably going to restructure his contract. I just don't think they're going to have him be a $16 million hit. I mean, he's still going to get money. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's going to be spread out. They usually don't. These guys don't usually try to lose money out. They just try to get cute with how they restructure everything.
Yeah. Well, in the long run, it'll all flush out. Do you get Justin Jefferson's that record? If you're Zimmer, you're saying, look, the kid's 17 yards away.
I think they tried to, though. I mean, listen to the post game. Kirk Cousins talked about it. I mean, he threw it to Osborne instead of him.
That touchdown to Osborne is exactly what I was
they're
thinking.
running the screens. They're trying to do it. I think, I actually agreed with Zimmer. Call me a curmudgeon a little bit. I just don't care about records like that. I thought it was so overhyped. I just, the fact that
and plus you have an additional game this year compared to when other records are broke. The thing, it doesn't matter if you and I care. Justin Jefferson is going to be a very important role in that organization. And if he wanted it as badly as what it sounded like he did, at least in his commentary, you give him a shot.
Yeah.
Keep him happy.
But I think they gave him a shot.
Yeah.
That's my thing. There's so many, throughout that game, they had opportunities. I mean, if they could have not gone 3 and out half the time in the first half, they would have done it, right?
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, it's just the ineptitude of the offense in the first half is part of the reason, too. So, I mean, I don't like the fact that Justin Jefferson's not worried about it. It's a meaningless record. I'm sorry. It's an organizational record. It's not like he's breaking Roger Maris's 61 or Babe Ruth. Come on, what are we talking about here? This is not 2105 of Eric Dickerson's rushing record like Adrian Peterson should have broke a few years ago. I have more qualms about that. That's a National Football League record. We're talking about an organizational record for 1 year. And this kid with his talent, he should be able to get in 14 games by next year if they do things right. I mean, he's amazing.
Carson Wentz didn't make the playoffs.
Oh, my
All he had to
heavens.
do was win, and I know that the entire offense stunk. Yes, right. Jonathan Taylor, who was in conversations for MVP, couldn't do it, all on his own. There was there was drops. There were some errant throws.
Bad pick.
Yeah, bad pick, which with Carson comes bad turnovers at times. He cleaned it up this year compared to last. But, I mean, already yesterday, if you followed along with Indianapolis, beat writers there were some people saying, he's not our guy next year. I'm not there yet. I think you give Carson one more year at least in Indianapolis.
Well, they're going to be a little tied to him. I don't know how they can get rid of him at this point.
That's what I thought, too.
Unless they fire Frank Reich.
Yeah, because you made quite a substantial trade with Philadelphia to get him.
But it is disappointing. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason they should have lost that game. I mean, to me as a Viking fan, I'm disappointed by going, 8-9 on the season. If I'm going into that game, what game that reminded me of is when the Vikings went down to Arizona and had no business losing to Arizona, and they did on that Tyrone Poole catch that won Green Bay the division. I mean, that's what it reminded me of, because that game shouldn't even been close, and the Vikings played so poorly, and the Colts are just flat, and they couldn't get anything going, and they were getting run over, too. They couldn't stop the run, made Trevor Lawrence look like he was, back at Clemson beating Alabama in the national championship game.
Scrambling.
He was amazing. So, that is really, really surprising to me. That would be, because you're going in that game all week long as a Colts fan, thinking, that's just Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
And all we got to do is beat them and get in the playoffs. And then that happens. Oh, my heavens.
Yeah, it was bad. That was the embarrassment of yesterday. Of all the games, and this is coming from a fan that got whooped in the fourth quarter.
Right. You paid attention to that? You probably paid attention to that. I was listening to most of the game because the first half.
Yeah, it was a fun first half.
I had it on the background. I was trying to get stuff done before I came here and did the Sunday version of Couch Potato Radio. I couldn't take it anymore when it was on TV. Between that and Talib, that was exhausting. So I had to go listen to PA and Spielman Pete Burzich on my way up, because I was just the radio broadcast was much easier to take than that at the time. Whether you're a PA fan or not, I mean, that was just, I could not watch it anymore.
Final question of NFL, then we'll wrap up today with NDSU. Do you kick the field goal if you're Oakland or Las Vegas last night? I mean, I was so tired from the trip that I'm like, all right, Las Vegas is up 12. I think they're going to be able to ride this out. Then I wake up this morning and holy, did I miss quite the fourth quarter and overtime, to where they thought about it. They thought about just, hey, we're going to let this clock run out. But then you've got, for whatever reason, the Chargers taking a timeout. Yeah. And there's reports saying that's what caused the Raiders say, okay, well, if that's the case, we're going to kick the field goal.
Or I think the fact that they were going to keep on running the ball too.
Yeah.
And the fact that they ran the ball 2 times pretty successfully to get them in better situations kind of made it happen too, because they weren't going to pass the ball.
No.
For obvious reasons. I think they were just going to go with a long field goal try, which is risky in its own merit, right? I mean,
get that blocked in return.
So I think they kind of knew. I mean, they're going to say, okay, we're division rivals. We don't like each other much, but we'll just kind of play it that way.
Yeah, we also don't like that Pittsburgh team, though.
No, well, that's just it too. They have the history of those two organizations going back to the 70s and AFC playoffs is something else.
Makes you wonder what John Mann would be saying.
Yeah,
today.
that was really something to watch. And the fact that the one thing that could not go Pittsburgh's way was almost about because the most tense fan base last night was probably Pittsburgh.
Right?
I mean, the Chargers, I mean, they're not happy because they're getting run on and they lost the game and they're out of the playoffs.
I asked Dan Michaels this morning, how high was that blood pressure? And he goes, Tyler, I went to bed just assuming that we're getting into the playoffs. And he had the same thing, woke up as, holy, that was a close one. Probably better to old Dan Michaels went to bed.
That would have been the one thing about it I'm happy for is that would have been an awful way for Ben Roethlisberger to end his career.
Yes, by a tie.
By a tie game between the Raiders and the Chargers. They had nothing to do with it.
I got to get this last weather update from Too Tall Tom out of the way. When we come back, let's talk about that 9th title back in Fargo from NDSU next.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.